Now we're in a light commercial vehicle. The pros and cons of light commercial vehicles compared to a passenger car. Of course, our advantage in changing lanes and our lane changing ability will decrease somewhat. Now, we won't be as agile as a small car. That's why we need to make fewer lane changes and proceed with better options. Using the center mirror is very, very important for beginners. So use the center mirror, especially for what's far behind, for the traffic behind you. It's very, very crucial. Always look all the way to the end. Of course, you're responsible for what's in front of you right now, but you can position yourself according to what's ahead. For example, it's getting congested on the left side. I saw it. There's a bit of space in the middle lane. Okay, nice. Welcome to our new video. Today, together with you, we'll be entering Istanbul traffic with a light commercial vehicle. We'll cross over from the E5 and get into bridge traffic. Renault Kangoo Extreme Body. Today, we're together with this one. At the same time, I'll be revising the suggestions I gave a bit more, of course, because, the capabilities of a regular small passenger car and a light commercial vehicle are obviously not the same. So I'll be giving my advice with some adjustments accordingly. At the same time, since we'll be going a bit slower with this car compared to a passenger car, of course, also by giving extra tips to beginners and those who are new to Istanbul traffic, that's how this video will go. That's our topic for today. Let's get started now. In a bit, we'll be merging onto the E5. Today, the weather is cloudy. Thank God it's not rain. Because when it rains, Istanbul traffic is a whole different story. That's a whole separate video topic. There could even be a dedicated video about what happens to Istanbul traffic when it rains, why it slows down so much, and what it's like. Right now, actually, there isn't much traffic so far. Of course, for beginners, or rather, let's not call them beginners, our first recommendation to people who are just starting out, especially if you're about to go on a long drive, is to please check before you hit the road. See what the situation is, what it isn't. Where is there traffic? Where isn't there traffic? Look, this is our E5 traffic. The traffic is really nice. It's amazing traffic. Now, we're in a light commercial vehicle. The pros and cons of light commercial vehicles compared to passenger cars. So what exactly is a light commercial vehicle? These are vehicles that are a bit longer in the back and somewhat larger overall. Of course, there are advantages and disadvantages. For one, as an advantage, you're a bit bigger. You can make use of your mass a bit more in that sense. You don't have to be as timid as you would in a regular passenger car. It's a bit more usable in that way. On the other hand, of course, you're a bit slower and you lose some agility. That's something you need to keep in mind as well. This car is diesel. Of course, it's a 1.6 turbo car. Most diesel cars are turbocharged. You have torque. Keep your torque in mind. So at least when accelerating, especially on inclines, that's when you use it. Well, these things can get very technical. But still, for beginners, it's important to get to know the car you're driving. So like that gets, or some of the Clio's 1SC models, like the SC models, with a car that doesn't have much torque, power, or speed, for example, you see an open space on the right and you're going. Mirrors are absolutely very important. We move to the left. I explained this in previous videos. Here, I will explain all of them again. As I said, what did we do? There's an exit on the right. We kept that in mind right in front of us. The left side could get blocked. Later on, there's an entrance on the right, a merging lane. We took that into consideration as well. We're not moving all the way to the right because that merging traffic will join in. It would cause unnecessary traffic on the right side. Using the center mirror is very, very important for beginners. So use the center mirror, especially for what's far behind, for the traffic behind you. It's very, very crucial. All right, let's see. The Mercedes moved to the right. Normally, since there's an on-ramp on the right side, the right lane usually moves slower. But today, there isn't much merging from the right. Since there's also an exit further ahead on the right, that lane is moving as well today. There's general traffic. Right now, it's almost 3 o'clock. We're in the middle of the week. So we need to take that into account too. Yes, we were familiar with the car we got into. So, of course, it helps with mid-range acceleration thanks to the torque. you are not a brand new car. Okay, your mass has increased a bit, but you still have some of that torque. We need to take that into account as well. Of course, our advantage in changing lanes and our ability to maneuver will decrease somewhat. Now, we won't be as agile as a small car. That's why we need to change lanes less and move forward by choosing better options. We saw a gap on the right side. The Doblo saw it too. Did the Doblo go in? It did. Let's go in as well and see what happens. V from the right. Yes, at least. We moved a bit further. And also in Istanbul traffic, there's this thing, if nothing else, someone decides to drive in the middle of 50. For example, like this friend here who doesn't decide to go, indecisive, wondering whether to speed up or not. I'm giving way to him, but of course, he's not used to it. How many times in his life has he been given way to? So he's thinking, is he really letting me go or is he going to run me over? He's right too. There's another split to the right up ahead, by the way. After all, on the E5, there are always exits to the right, merges to the left, road splits, and road merges. There are plenty of those. For example, I gave way to this friend, but he prefers not to go. Of course, I congratulate him on this choice and wish him continued success. Once I go, he decides to go after me. Of course, that's how it is. We've moved to the left side. Now it's starting to flow a bit more. But for how long? Let's see. Now, for beginners, always look as far ahead as possible. Of course, you're responsible for what's right in front of you, but you can position yourself according to what's happening further ahead. For example, it's getting congested on the left side. I saw that there's a bit of space in the middle lane. Okay, good. Now, if we keep going a bit further in the middle lane, it'll get congested again. I'm checking again. Is the left lane moving? Actually, it is. Can I use the middle lane? I can. By the way, I got stuck in traffic. There was a minibus in the middle going at 50. We were slowing down because of it. Look, we passed it. It started to flow. I could move to the far right, but I don't want to because they will be merging from that side again. Because, well, actually today there's less merging from the right, for example. Gee. So you need to pay attention to that too. For example, look, there's someone here. They're going at 30, 40, and the road ahead is clear. That's the reason for this traffic. Let me tell you. Look, now I'm going to pass them. And there's another one on the right going 30. Watch now. For example, what is this one doing? Now we'll see. What are you doing? Look, just staring ahead and drive. Now that I look, for example, they might step on the gap. That's the thing too. You get it? There are people like this too. Now, you can't just ask this person what they're doing. It's not even clear where they're going. No signal, nothing. Sure, but of course you can't react to people like this. You just have to accept that's how they are and drive accordingly, watch out accordingly. Now, we had a maneuver here. Since there was a big exit on the right, I passed this spot, but I don't cut in front of people by moving all the way to the right. That would be a bit, that's a bit rude. I don't like doing that. We're in 3 lanes. It's our right. It's a lane for the exit on the right. The split on the right. The lane on the right is the separation road. But look, the far left lane is a bit congested. Now, the drawback here is that people can come from the right and cut in front of you. That's also one of the quirks of this play. For example, if this dump truck in front of me cuts in, it would be a mess. Let's hope it doesn't cut in, for instance. But would I be surprised if it did? No. Now, supposedly, we've entered here. It's a solid line. People can't cut in front of us. But would we be surprised if they did? We wouldn't be surprised. They're driving over the hatched area. Maybe they'll just go straight along the entire emergency lane. That's also possible. You can't get mad at this. Or go ahead and get mad. Get mad all you want inside, as if that'll change anything. These things happen too. That's what I'm trying to say. Now we've arrived. So, 3 lanes of traffic. There's nothing you can do. For example, there's this guy on the right now. If I stopped with him, he'd come and hit me. Then he'd ask, why did you stop on the right, for example? Now, that's wrong too. Now you see, the guy has made up his mind. He's going down the emergency lane. At that point, well, you're not the ambassador of justice either. Now, there's another exit on the right. I'm using that. Look, the car on the far left is at a standstill. The ones on the far left are stopped. Of course, we're not going to go all out either. We also stopped at a standstill. Now, as I said, there is a radar system in the field. Well, knowing the route is also important, of course. Now, someone coming to Istanbul for the first time. Yeah, I mean, they might grasp the logic to some extent, but expecting them to immediately get it right away and be fully efficient would be a bit unreasonable. Actually, let me put it this way. There's a difference between passenger cars and light commercial vehicles. Well, maybe those long vehicles, like the sprinter vans that bikers call whales, are of course a whole different story. But believe me, there are people in Istanbul traffic who drive those sprinters just like their regular passenger cars. So we really do have those bold drivers, don't be surprised at all. But now, as you can see on the right, there's a flow of traffic. The cars on the left are stopped. We're in the far right lane. At least we managed to move a little, so we actually passed quite a few people again. But now there's going to be an on-ramp ahead of us, gradually. I can see it now. All of these cars will want to merge onto the E5 from the right. That's why we stopped. Let's give way right away. Oh, a silent ambulance. Well, let's see. That's very interesting. It's the first time I've seen or heard of a silent ambulance. Actually, I didn't hear it. I mean, I couldn't hear it. Well, in Istanbul traffic. Now, yes, of course, this is a critical point. I mean, I don't want to be stuck behind this truck. If I do this up ahead now, with trucks on, first of all, we need to be careful. Trucks have a lot of blind spots. You need to proceed with understanding. So don't just suddenly jump in like that, especially motorcyclists. Don't do it. Be careful. Now, since there will be a lot coming in the right lane, maybe I entered a bit early. But just see, if we were behind that big sprinter, where would we be? Right now, we're here. So even a lane change, just see how much of a difference it makes. Now, the left lane is starting to move slowly, but we caught up because now the right and middle lanes are going to stop. I intend to move into the far left lane. But of course, as I said, since it's a commercial vehicle, I can't just zip through like crazy. Or rather, you just can't do that. Someone on the left is blocking the way too. You know, it's tough in Istanbul traffic. I can't really say it's very, very easy. But for example, there are people like this too. For instance, if you can see in the mirror, there's a Toyota Corolla behind us. He's coming along very calmly, slowly. Now I can see them clearly too. All right, that they're coming. I'm going to move into the far left lane now, because as I said, the one in the far right lane who didn't want to cut in front just suddenly jumped over. This one will jump, the one in front will jump. One after another, like I was behind this one. Suddenly, someone jumped right in front of us. So what happens when they keep jumping lanes like that? They end up going backwards, basically. Just a moment ago, what was it? Was it a T-Roc? It was behind the T-Roc. And then suddenly, the very last lane, just a bit more. Look, in Istanbul traffic, we're trying to save 10, maybe 3 seconds in total. You might say, man, what you're doing is pointless labor. I wouldn't do that. It's ridiculous. Am I supposed to keep watching who's cutting in where? I just put on my music and drive straight ahead in the farthest lane. Yes, that's an option too. That's also a choice, of course. But let's say you're in a bit of a hurry. That part's done, we can move to the middle lane. But for example, the T-Roc just now was jumping around, jumping all over the place. And now, for instance, that Honda also tried to move into the left, well, the middle lane. I tried to move into the middle lane too. Those things are bound to happen.